All right, fam, kia ora, morning, everybody. Haven't done a video for a couple of days because I've been struggling to find something to talk on, just going through some inner dialogue with myself. And I've managed to come up with some things. I've just finished a massive journaling session and I've got 3 full pages because I want this to have a bit of a flow, because I understand this is very raw content for a lot of people. It's not edited. So I want it to be kind of kept short as it possibly can. This morning I logged into Facebook and Nyx, cooked whānau kōrero with Nyx. If you guys don't know her, go follow her. You might know her more presently as the lady that does the Jacinda Ardern skits. She did a live this morning and it was called The Number 5. And it was all about shadow work and the 5 types of people that she would not sit at a table with, that she doesn't want to surround herself with, and the 5 types of people that she would love to sit at a table with and that she loves surrounding herself with. And it really got me thinking. So today's video is all about shadow work, self-sabotage and gratitude, and my experiences with these things. Now again, a lot of the stuff in this video I give full credit and full intellectual property credit to Nyx for all of this stuff. It's very repetitive from her video, but it's my experience with them. So she talks about how it starts from when you're a child and you're punished or told off for doing or saying something. And as a child, we don't have that full intellectual capacity that we do as an adult to deal with those things. And so what we do is we take that and we push it into the back of our subconscious mind, the shadow side of ourselves. And that in itself creates trauma, whether it's big or small. And a lot of people don't like to admit that they have trauma, because trauma is this word that has a stigma surrounding it of the fact that you're damaged or you're broken. And she explains it like a dam. So you have this wall and you allow all of these things, these little parts of yourself to filter through the wall, but you hold all of this stuff back. And as we grow up, we have so many societal pressures that the world places upon us that it's not socially acceptable to do those things, for fear of not fitting in. And that's fear. You do that because you're scared. You do that because your mind and your ego creates a sense of fear and a limiting belief that stops you from being your true, authentic self, because you think you're going to be punished for it. And for me, if I go back to my childhood, I am the oldest of 2 girls. My dad didn't have a son. So I was raised for mainly the first part of my life until I was about 10, 11 or 12 as the son that my dad never had. So I did all those father-son things. I was taught how to build fires, and I went hunting and duck shooting and fishing and spent a lot of time outdoors. But along with that physical side, I was also taught the emotional, moralistic values and beliefs of being very masculine, being a man, being a macho man. And I was taught that you don't cry because it shows that you're weak and vulnerable. And you don't want to show people that you're weak or vulnerable because it puts you in a lower position, a lower advantage point. And that whole concept and idea for me connects to this whole thing of toxic masculinity. In today's day and age, men are supposed to portray themselves as like big macho men that don't show emotions because you're a pussy if you do, and all of that stuff. And that was what my father was taught. And so even though he didn't mean to impress those things upon me, I was just a byproduct of a byproduct, because that's all he was taught. That's all he learned. So from generations back, from his father and so on and so forth, I was passed that down to me. And so now I'm in a space of having to heal not only the effect it's had on my life, but all of the intergenerational trauma that was passed down to me. And if we talk about polarity, like opposite ends of the spectrum, I started to portray myself as the opposite of those things, as the opposite of being weak, vulnerable, of being seen as any lesser than. So I started to create this outer shell of being staunch, of standing at my ground, of not opening up and suppressing my emotions. And that gained me a level of respect in a way, especially from males, because when I got to that teenage stage, I would portray that of like, excuse my profanity, but of like, you don't fuck with me. And so people would feel those vibes and see that physically and be like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna do that. And it caused me to have this level of entitlement of this mentality of you can either take it or leave it type of thing. When in reality, I was suppressing so much emotion, both physically and emotionally, that it would come off as being defensive, very defensive and very aggressive. And so I was seen as being a bitch because I realized I wasn't a man. I was a female. And those emotions that I was suppressing was my feminine energy telling me that it was okay to cry and okay to be vulnerable and okay to care for others and show that level of care. Because as women, we have this maternal energy, we have this feminine energy that we can create life, like to be nurturers and to be nourishers and to be emotional creatures. Humans in themselves are emotional creatures. We like to think we're logical creatures, but we're really not. So all of those things moralistically is what I was taught. And where the self-sabotage comes in is I became very confused because I was having all these external pressures put on me that had been passed down to me also. And then I had my feminine energy and my soul tell me like, it is okay. So I had this internal conflict. And where the self-sabotage comes in was that I was sabotaging myself because I was still carrying that trauma from my childhood. I hadn't yet dealt with that. And, you know, for being told off for crying when I felt pain, etc. And I was manifesting that into my reality. So I became very confused because what I started to notice was that I was attracting people and surrounding myself with people who hadn't dealt with their trauma either. And my life was repeating itself. So I had this time when I was a child, and then I went into my teenage years, and that relates to my last relationship. We both had trauma that we hadn't dealt with. And my own trauma was starting to trickle into our relationship, which caused the breakup. And we became very toxic for each other. And looking back, I am so, so grateful that we broke up, because I believe everything happens for a reason, and that what is meant to be for me will be for me. And we just weren't meant to be together. And that's okay. I've come to peace with that now. But I was feeding that toxic energy, that trauma into our relationship, and so that's all I was getting back. Again, every action has a reaction. And so I was confused because I was feeling one thing, doing another, and for so long I played the victim. I didn't take responsibility or acknowledge, both physically and emotionally, how I truly felt inside. All of this stuff behind the wall, I just had this wall and this shell. And so I made a choice, a conscious choice, to no longer do that. But subconsciously, I hadn't healed the trauma. So I was still surrounding myself and manifesting into my reality people who were in that victim mindset, who didn't take responsibility for their own emotions, because I myself hadn't done the shadow work and I hadn't shone any light on those dark parts of myself. And that's why this journey for me has been so profound and insightful, is because going through it, I realized that it was starting to trickle into my current relationship as it did in my last one. And I'll talk more about relationships and my perspective and all that stuff on them later on in the journey. But they were starting to trickle into my current relationship, and I started to see it. And so again, my life was repeating itself, and I started to see that I made a subconscious choice that I did not want that to happen, because not only do I have so much love and respect for myself now because of everything I've learned, but I have so much love and appreciation and gratitude for my current partner, my boyfriend. Because even though he doesn't believe in what I believe in terms of spirituality and this journey that I'm on, he supports me and encourages me 100% to be my true, authentic self, because that's all he wants. He just wants me. And so our relationship thrives when I am myself, from my viewpoint, am happy in myself and present in the moment. And so now, if I need to have a cry about something, I do. Like sometimes I don't even know why I'm crying. I don't pinpoint it down to a certain emotion. It could be a whole lot of things. But if I feel like I need to cry, I cry because I suppressed that part of me for so long to not cry. And it's an emotional and a physical release and a form of healing for me. And I'm starting to learn that it's okay to be vulnerable, not only with myself and be real with myself, but be vulnerable and real with other people, because in a way that shows them that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to sit in a place of uncomfortability. And so there lies a point where you can hold space for each other. And I think there's something really special and beautiful about that. And it's also allowed me to acknowledge and accept my true self, my feminine side, because for so long I portrayed this macho, very masculine shell, outward perception that people would see me as. And so now I'm going through the stage of balancing the two energies so that they can work in harmony with each other and not one against the other, and create the best of both worlds. So yeah, that's my little kōrero for today, guys. Where gratitude comes into it as well is I am so grateful for all of the trauma and all of the things that I've had happen in my life. And this is what Nyx talked about as one of these people that she would love to sit at a table with, is the people that acknowledge that, yeah, like I've had some shit happen in my past. I've had some trauma and I still do have some trauma, but I am willing to heal from it. And I don't want that. I can make that choice subconsciously, bringing it to the conscious mind that I don't want to carry that into my future. I don't want to surround myself with people that play the victim and all of that, those things, because I know what that's like and it was draining for me. And so surrounding myself with people, that's just me repeating my reality. And so I encourage you guys today to find somewhere, sit somewhere, stand somewhere, and just take a few deep breaths and look around at your life and just be grateful. Just allow yourself, give yourself permission to feel gratitude for everything you have in your life. Because for me, in today's world, we spend so much time looking back at the things that we never had. And so bringing that to the present moment, all we focus on for the future is all the things that we will never have, instead of just being present and being grateful and thankful for all of the things that we currently have. It creates this feeling of abundance, that you have everything you need within you and that you don't need all of these external things to be happy. And yeah, I do have a couple of other things to mention. Again, this is just my own perspective. This is my truth. This might not be someone else's truth. But if you resonate with anything I'm saying, I encourage you to explore that, to be creative and to be imaginative with yourself. Also, again, Cooked Whānau Kōrero with Nyx on Facebook. If you haven't seen her, go follow her. She's crack up. And I wanted to dedicate a part of this video as well to a person, because this person has provided so much inspiration and has actually made me realize that I need to start this journey, and has provided so much insight and thought-provoking conversations. And I just wanted to give a massive shout out, massive amount of credit and love to his name is Rani Rerewari, aka Plant-Based Māori, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. He also has a podcast called Planting Seeds Podcast. I have watched every single one of his podcasts back to back repetitively, because every time I watch them, again, he provides so much insight and has these deep, real, thought-provoking conversations with people, brings them to the table, and they hash it out. And it is so good, so wholesome, that every time I listen to them back, I get something new. Something has a different meaning. The words he's saying has a different meaning to me. And so I highly, highly encourage you guys to please go follow him, go show him some love, and I just honor him for all the work that he's doing in this space, because he is making such a big outreach and impact on other people's lives like myself, and I just think he just deserves everything that he desires in the world, because yeah, he's just giving so much of himself to others. And I think that selflessness is something I really aspire to be as well. So yeah, if there's anything you guys take away from this video, 1, Nyx, go follow her on Facebook. 2, Plant-Based Māori, Planting Seeds podcast. Go and follow him. I promise you, you will not regret it. And 3 is just to make the choice to be grateful for everything that's happened to you, for everything that is happening to you now, for the present moment, for everything you have, and for everything that will happen for you, because you start to see the world in a completely different light. And yeah, that's all I have to say today, fam. Sorry if it's a bit long. But yeah, I hope you guys took something away from this video, and have a good rest of your day. Have a fantastic rest of your day, wherever you are. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, fam.